Well, hello, welcome back. I'm Claire, this is Purple Poppy, and we're on Sunday stitching. So we're working on the Roxy's Journal of Stitchery, and this time we are making a box. So I'm just looking, I've got glue, I need a paintbrush. I don't know where my paintbrush has gone. Oh, okay, you should have been more organised and sorted out a paintbrush before you started, shouldn't you? Ah, here it is. It's in the wrong pot. Okay, so when I was with you last week, we had great fun and games doing this padded top for our box. I hope you can see these little beads because they're clear. I'm trying to catch the light on them. So we've done the very top lid. We need to connect the underside lid with the back and then the base. So I'm going to do that first of all with some masking tape. Now, like when you make a journal and you cover your journal, I need folding space, so I don't want to put them right next door to each other. I want to give them a little bit of folding space. I'm going to use masking tape because I'm going to cover it all in fabric anyway. So just pop that down like so, and do the other one as well. Okay, so that's connected them together, and now that'll be my base. This will be the underside of our lid, and then obviously that's our back. So that's lovely. So I'm just going to stretch that round the back like so. I'm going to get up an old Amazon type envelope to glue on. Move our lid out of the way, we don't want to ruin that. Right, now I'm going to apply my glue. Now I'm using fabric glue. This is just from the works, so I'm just going to pop some of that on. As you can see, got plenty. I don't want it not to stick, and I'm just going to spread this out all over my 3 sections. You could do this with a roller if you like using a roller. I'm using my paintbrush. I only ever use this paintbrush, as you may have noticed, for glue, so I don't worry too much about it getting instantly washed out because it's only ever used for glue. I don't use it for anything like painting. And then once I've covered all of that, get rid of this messy envelope now, stick my paintbrush in there. Now it's probably a little bit off screen, and I'm using the same fabric that I used for the lid, so laying that down, and then I'm gonna flip this over so it's obviously glue side down. I want to make sure that I've got plenty of wrap round space. Okay, so give it a good press down. Use my bone folder to reinforce those fold lines. Make sure that's super stuck. Okay, and I'm going to bring it round, and we're going to bring these over to make sure that all of our edges are covered. So I'm going to use a pair of scissors and I'm just going to cut myself angles. Now I haven't cut this fabric to size. This was the size that it was in my box, which is why I've got wide sides. You could, if you were cutting it deliberately, obviously have much less on your side than that. Okay, so that's my corners off. I'm now going to use my brush and I'm going to come all the way down the side. A little bit more glue if I need it. Okay, and then I'm just going to bend that over, make sure that's perfectly stuck down all the way down that side. I'm going to do exactly the same. So it's just like covering a book if you're used to making journals. If you're a stitcher and you're not used to making journals, this is how you make a journal cover. Exactly the same way. Make sure you get your glue all the way along. Now, as you've probably figured from me sticking this down, I'm not going to do any slow stitching on these pieces. The slow stitching is going to be on the sides, and we'll look at that in a minute. So plenty of glue along this edge. Praying I'm on the screen. Let's just check. Yep. And then, whoops, no, don't fall on the floor. Naughty paintbrush. And then if you just fold that in, make sure it covers that corner, and you're going to get a nice neat edge with none of your cardboard showing. Okay, like that. And then of course this is our top or our bottom. This is our back. And then we'll just do the other top or the bottom. And this has stuck beautifully already. Probably heard me trying to lift that and it's stuck already, so that's not going to happen. I just get plenty of glue on that edge. Again, whoops, determined to throw that paintbrush on the floor. Again, I'm going to fold in that edge. And that little tiny bit there. And then just bring this over like so. So that is now beautifully covered. My top, my back and my bottom. Okay, so now this is going to be adhered to this so that you've got that beautiful covered edge. Okay, so last bit of gluing for today. I've got it all over my fingers, look, and everywhere. And make sure you get right up to that edge because you want all that to stick down. Okay, all the way along. Got the windows open so you can hear all the traffic driving past. Hopefully it's not going to be too noisy. And I am waiting for the postman to come and collect some parcels. Right, so I'm just folding it down to make sure that it's where I want it to be. And then I'm going to give it a good old press. Let that glue really adhere to there. Okay. Okay. So that is my lovely padded top on the top, on the lid. And there's the back and the base, and we just leave that alone now and let that dry. So yes, sorry, I am waiting for the postman to come and collect some parcels, so I'm hoping he's not going to rat-a-tat-tat too loudly. Now, we have got our base, our inner base, which is going to be in this fabric. We've got our 3 outer sides, which is going to be in this fabric, and then we've got our 3 inner sides, which are going to be in this fabric. Actually, I lied, that's not the end of the gluing, is it? Because now I need to move that, don't I? Put that up there out the way so that can glue down. Now, the 3 outer sides is where I want to do the stitching, so I can't glue them down yet, but we can glue down the base, and we can glue down our 3 inner sides. So let's do the 3 inner sides first, and again I'm going to join these with tape. So again, you need the fold space, so make sure you leave a gap. Gonna pop that down there, turn that over, turn that over, and then this one. Oops, that's too big. Don't want that much fold space, Claire. Get a life. Whoops. There we go. Okay, so there's our 3 innards. Whoops. Our 3 inner sides. And if we lay down our fabric, there, we need a turn space, so if I do a little snip and tear that off like so, and then that is going to cover our inner sides that we don't need any stitching on. So we can glue that one down as well. See, I lied to you, didn't I? I said no more sticking. I lied. Sorry, didn't mean to lie to you. I was getting carried away with myself because I want to get stitching. So, plenty of glue again. Right up to our edges, all the way down. Okay, now lift that up, lay my fabric down, get rid of them strings. Get rid of that. Put my paintbrush down. Turn it over. Now I don't need to cover the bottom edge, because the bottom edge is going to be glued to the bottom, so it's just a waste of fabric. We don't need to do that at all. Okay. Then I'm just going to trim across there again and there. Whoops, maybe a bit closer, like so. Exactly the same principle as we just did. I'm now going to run that glue all the way down this edge. Turn that all the way over, making sure that's nice and tight. Because that's now going to be folded like this to be the inside of our box, yeah? Okay, so now a little bit of glue on this side, again right on that corner. And the same on this one. Whoops, don't want that much glare, do we? Right, and you can see here I've got a gap. I don't want that gap. There we go. And we're not worried about this back side, because this back side is obviously going to be stuck to our outside panels, which is going to have the stitch work on. You can see it's slightly taller, and I did notice that I missed a little bit there, so we might have to trim that slightly when it's dry, but we'll worry about that when we come to connect it all together. Okay, last bit of gluing for today, and it really is the last bit now. I promise, I promise, I promise. We'll do this bottom. So again, I'm just going to do a little snip. This bit is what we're going to stitch on in a minute when we've cut it to the right size. This is going to go in here. Trim that. And this is now spare fabric. So basically I've used just under a fat quarter of each of these fabrics to make this box, but that's obviously dependent on the size of the box. If you had a bigger box or a smaller box, you'd want a different amount of fabric. Obviously a bigger would be more and a smaller would be less. Simple maths. Okay, so pick this up, lay down my fabric, offer that to the centre, give it a press down, Get rid of those strings because of course I'm sticky now, so strings are sticking to me. Across that corner, across that corner. Just trim them all away because it's excess that you don't need. You don't need the bulk. I always tend to do the opposites together. I don't actually know why, but I just do. I do that when I'm doing journals as well. Tuck your little corner bits in. Sorry, it's because I've got a paintbrush in my mouth. Okay. We are seriously, honestly, now done with their gluing. So, here's our base, and you see that will sit around there. Maybe actually we don't need to trim it because look, that little white line is disappearing as we're butting up our corners. We'll see how we go. So that's that lovely dark inside. Okay, so that's those pieces done. Now this one is going to go in exactly the same way. We are going to add a space, and that's going to be our 3 sides. So, I mean, we don't really need all of this fabric, so let's just trim it off a little bit. Waste not, want not, and all that. So that's going to go, whoops, that's going to go about there. So to give ourselves a nice fold, I'm going to trim about 1.5 inches off, I think, something like that. It's all good. Sorry, I nearly poked you in the eye there, didn't I? Oops, and that's my cotton gone on the floor. So I'm going to have to get up and find that in a minute because we need that. Okay, so there's our 3 pieces, and we'll have a fold over there. Okay, so this is the fabric that I'm now stitching on. These 3 pieces we don't need for a moment. Oh, 3 pieces. So, bearing in mind the trouble that I had trying to see my lines last week, I have now dug out some chalk pencil or white pencil, just to make it easier so I can actually see what I'm doing. So, I don't know if that edge is straight. I want to get a line roughly in the middle, like that. So at least I'll be able to see this one, won't I? Yep, perfect. So there's that one, and now I'll do the other side. feel like I should have sharpened this before we started. Yeah. Have I by any chance got a sharpener? Yes. Just here I have a sharpener. So let's sharpen that up and hope that's going to make a difference. So you can see I've got my lines. I did have one of those big triangle tailor's chalks somewhere, but I can't find it. Bit like everything else. I don't know if I've told you. There we go. So that's my line for stitching, and I'm going to start there and give myself diamonds all the way across. Sorry, this is probably really boring for you, isn't it? But I suppose the whole process is the whole process. Oh, there's a fly in here behind me now. Oh, that one didn't. Yeah, this is not working very well for me. I think it's because it needs a better sharpen. I suppose the prep is, you know, just as important as the actual work, isn't it? Okay, turning it round the other way. And we should be able to get we can get a diamond going. And they should now all meet up if I've done my lines correct. Just because I'm not very good at doing it by eye when I'm stitching, so I'm thinking it makes more sense just to do it and then know it's going to be right. You know, preparation's everything really, isn't it? You see that one's slightly off there, and we just put that one back in there. Okay, there you go. I've got all my ziggy zaggy lines. I am wondering if I should be really naughty and put... No. Okay, I need to go and find my cotton. So, just 1 second. I'm hoping it's just at the end of my desk. But of course it's not, is it? Goodness knows where that's rolled to. I'll have to put you on pause while I hunt it out. So I'll see you in a sec. Okay, so I found my needle and thread again. And the reason I wanted to do this is because I wanted to put some slow stitch, just sort of back stitch, just to create a nice white line. And then I was going to put one of these glass beads on the points to match the ones on the top. I am, however, mindful that although you can see these in the flesh and you can definitely obviously feel them, they're not really obvious. So then, and it is cream rather than white. So I am now wondering whether I should put a little pearl. I wish this was live because then you could tell me. Do I do the pearls? Or do I continue with the glass beads that are on the top? I've just realised that because of what's going in this box, it actually makes sense to do the glass beads. So I'm going to do glass beads again. I'm sorry if you can't really see them, or you might see them better this time. It was that they were sort of buried in the foam last time. So let's get ourselves a nice stretch of cotton. Let's thread up our needle. Let's do some actual stitching. Now obviously I could do all sorts of fancy stitching on here, and make it really decorative, but I feel like that's not really what I want. Now I'm not going to do this end bit because of the turnover. I'm going to start there, but I'm not going to put a bead on that join. I'm going to put my first bead on that join. So I'm literally just going to do a back stitch. Whoops. Very unsuccessfully because I've got a knot already. Goodness me, Claire. What are you like? Right, let's get rid of that. So I'm just going to do a little back stitch all the way across like this. It's not very straight, see, I'm lethal. And I'm doing it in sewing cotton. I could have done it in embroidery thread. That might have been better. Yeah, do you know what? I think that is going to be better, isn't it? Or is it? Because if I do that usual weave that I do, then this will appear to be a much more solid line. Anyway, that's Boo you can hear charging around the room. And you can probably now hear her drinking a gallon of water. Because she's been up in the office with hubby, laying on the window seat, in the window, getting sunburnt. So now she's boiling hot and pansy. Right, so then if I go down there, this may all change in a minute and we may decide that we need embroidery thread. We're about to find out. We'll do this first one and see. So I pick up my bead, bring that all the way down, fix that in place. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not convinced about that line. Let's see what happens when we weave it, and then I'll decide whether or not I'm going to actually use embroidery floss. I bet you're all shouting at the camera with perfectly wonderful ideas, but I can't hear you. That's what I was saying earlier about, I sort of wish it was live, because then I could hear you. Now, of course, doing it in the sewing thread has made it lovely and slim, and has not really detracted from the fabric. So I suppose that's the question, isn't it? Do I want it lovely and thin? Do you know what? I think I do. I think doing it in this sewing cotton was actually completely the right idea. I hope you agree. So, because obviously I've fed all the way back down, I now need to knock this off and start again. But it's not a problem. There we go. Just trim that off. So, yeah, I mean, it's a nice, you can feel it, but it's a nice, gentle little line. I think that works for me. So, I'm going to start back at the top where I should have been, and I'm going to sew all the way along, and then I'll do all the weaving at the end in the one hit, and that will save me constantly knotting and tying off. So come up there under that bead and just do my back stitch, trying to make sure I'm in view all the way along, because this is a very dark fabric with a dark like leaf print on it, so I think that white just, it's very sort of classic and minding its own business, just sitting there doing what it needs to do, which is fabulous. Just goes to show you that if you want to start doing this slow stitch game, you don't really need any fancy equipment. You don't need embroidery flosses or wools. Yes, they're lovely to have. Yes, they give you beautiful effects, but if you're just starting out, you really don't need to worry about it. You can use sewing cottons. And I mean, the thing is, I'm using a single strand here, as you see, but there's no reason not to do it double or even treble, and then that would give you a bit of weight. So just, oh, what's happened? Pop out. What's happened? There we go. Pop our bead on. Make sure that we double stitch that bead, because we don't want that coming off, do we? And then we'll go back down turn our work round and just bring our line back down the other way. And I can come back and do that weaving when I've done it all. So there you are, that's how my box is progressing. What have you all been up to? I mean, have you had a great weekend outside, making the most of the sun? I'm saying that, but as always, I am filming ahead. So, of course, it's probably raining by now. Sorry, I don't mean to be a mizzy, but this weather's been super crazy lately. I'm hoping the weather's going to maintain and we can have some outdoor time at the weekend. I've sort of had enough of being indoors now. I mean, I don't want to go, you know, in the outside world with people, just in the garden. Goodness me, I'm not about getting dressed and going out or anything like that. Just outside. There we go. And of course, now that I've got all my lines on and everything, it's quite quick. Now I'm sure that you can stitch in a straight line, unlike me, in which case you wouldn't have needed to do the lines. You could just have stitched away. Do you know what this reminds me of? Side of a drum. You know, you get that sort of golden braid with studs, don't you? Or is that only children's cartoony type drums? Actually, I think it is, because my daughter had a drum set, noisy person that she is, and it had dead straight lines with clips at the top. They weren't angled like this. Perhaps it's only circus drums or children's cartoons. Anybody know anything about drums and want to let me know? You can probably hear that child shouting now. I do apologise. As I say, it's nice and sunny, so I've got the windows open. It's lovely to fill the house with fresh air. Right, here we go. Got a funny little nick in the thread there. There you go, that's better. I'm going boss-eyed looking at this. It's because it's glass and you can sort of see through it and then round it. It's weird. But I do love them because, of course, they add a little bit of glitz without adding any colour. And I'm hoping you can see these ones, even though you struggled potentially to see last week's when they were in the divot. Well, I feel like we haven't had quite the carry-on saga of last week today. Seems to have been a little bit calmer. Well, we did lose the cotton though, I suppose, didn't we? And I did keep lying to you about the glue. There we go. And bead number 5. We're motoring along now. Oops. She says. I thought that one was going to go rolling off down the room for a minute. Oops, stitched my finger. Okay. Sorry, holding it up in the air like that is a bit weird on the elbows, which is why I've just brought it back down. Oh, that one's, see, totally skew with, even with a chalk line. What am I like? I don't know what's happened to the postman. Just realised what the time is. He's supposed to come and collect my parcel today. Actually, 2 parcels that are supposed to be going off in the post. Right. And I'm also waiting for delivery, so it's in and out today. Parcel in, parcel out. That wouldn't mean that I've been spending money, would it? No, that would be very bad. Quite excited actually. I've just purchased shush, no I haven't, I didn't buy anything. A couple of the new Andy Skinner watercolour stamps. They're just amazing. I will definitely show them to you when they're here and unwrapped. I'm going to have to look at a cotton change. So, bearing in mind I've been here with you quite a while because we did all that gluing, this might be the ideal time to draw the video to a close, and then could finish off ready for next week. Makes sense, doesn't it? Right. So tie a knot there. Stick me cotton. You need. Oh, there you go. There we go. I mean, obviously it's a bit bitty at the moment, but once we get that wrap line on, I think that's going to be lovely. And when it sits, underneath there, and you've got the glass beads on top and down the side, I think that's going to be awesome. Just 1 second, I'll see you soon. Sorry, postman taking parcels. Well, that's good. They've gone. They're on their way to their peoples. So yeah, as I was saying, once we get that in there, on the side we've got our lovely glass beads on the top, and we've got our white line and glass beads all the way around the side. I think I'm going to be very happy with that. So there you go. We are moving on with our box. As always, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you found some joy and inspiration in all the chaos that is the world of Claire. Stay safe. I'll see you very soon. Ta-ta for now.